All right, Salvite. Nez, hope you guys are all doing well and you had a good spring break. If you want to call it that. Here we're going to go over section B and try to be quick here while I have some brief time. All right, as a recap, this is from Cicero's speech in defense of Milo, who survived a fight on the Appian Way where the popular politician Clodius died. And so he's trying to defend Milo, so he's going to make Milo, in this passage, look like a guy who was just on the road with no ill intention whatsoever, and he's going to appeal to the Senate, who's essentially, like the trial, and he's going to appeal to their empathy in making Milo, just look like a regular guy, a likable guy. So this is a little lighthearted one. There's actually a little bit of humor in this one, but let's get into it. So it's Milo, however, since, and you translate it as since because it's a cum causal clause, which the note tells you, since he had been, pluperfect subjunctive, since he had been in the Senate on that day. They tell you it's January 18th, but you don't need to know that. On that day, it's ablative of time. Quoad is a weird word, until the Senate was dismissed. So, nothing unusual. If you remember from section A, Clodius had left a meeting that he was at suspiciously. So Milo was just at the regular old meeting of the Senate until it was over. Came home. Mutawit changed his shoes and his clothes. The note tells you the senators wore special red leather half boots. I don't know too much about that. It sounds a little wild to me. But so anyway, came home, changed his shoes and clothes. For a little while, they tell you to do that in the note. For a little while his wife, and I just put the his in there because if you don't, it doesn't sound good. So while his wife, as usual, they give that to you in the note as well. While his wife, as usual, prepared herself. The say is referring to the wife, or got ready, basically. While his wife, as usual, prepared herself or got ready, he waited. And that's from a deponent verb, so it looks passive, but it just translates as he waited. So I always think this is awesome because it's over 2,000 years ago. And the old joke that the, waiting around for the wife to get ready is basically what's going on here, at least according to Cicero. So for a little while his wife prepared herself, as usual, waited. All right. Then, having set out, at that, they say at that point in time, you could just say at that time. So then, having set out at that time, when now Clodius, if he was about to come to Rome on that day, you can fit the even in here. Quidem is kind of a junk word. Even if he had even, or if he was even about to come to Rome on that day, they give this to you in the note. He would have been able to return. All right, the sentence is a little confusing, but Clodius basically, Cicero is saying that Clodius timed it so that they would meet on the Appian Way. All right. Clodius, subject here, and then they give this to you. Abuiam fit. Clodius meets him. EI is him, meaning Milo. Clodius meets him lightly armed, on his horse with no carriage, no baggage, no Greek companions. And then this is kind of weird. What this means, if you read the note, it means dancers, musicians, or party people. So it was common for the wealthy class, the ruling class, to travel in large entourages, and usually you would have entertainment. And so that's what he means here. So Clodius is traveling without his carriage, with no baggage, and with no entertainment. So it's suspicious, right? Ut solebat, as was the custom. Don't give you a note for that, which they probably should have. But as was the custom, without his wife, which he almost never was, and they give that to you in the note too. All right. So according to Cicero, who's obviously wants Clodius to look guilty, Clodius is traveling in a very suspicious way. He is not in a carriage, which someone of his status would definitely be in a carriage for traveling. They would have some sort of baggage with them. They would have some sort of entertainment, and they would have their wife. All right. And Clodius has none of these things. And here, hold on, I got to pause real quick. All right, so the note tells you for this phrase here to do while this highwayman, and you guys probably don't know what a highwayman is, kind of an outdated term. A highwayman would be somebody who waits on the side of the road to rob somebody. All right, back in the day, it happened all the time. So we can just say like a robber, and he's referring here to Milo, and he's being sarcastic. All right, he's defending Milo. So you can use the word hic for this, and you can imagine while this speech was going on, you can imagine him at this point pointing or gesturing over to Milo, who would have been present at his own trial. So while this robber, or maybe you can imagine him doing like air quotes or something like that. I don't know. You know what? They definitely would not have had air quotes in ancient Rome. That's embarrassing. They had not invented the quotation. Okay. All right, Palladino. Okay. So while this robber, who, and he continues his sarcasm, who would have prepared that journey, Illa and Eater go together, both neuter, who would have prepared that journey ad caedem faciendam, and that's the gerundive, the kind of the last thing that knew that we had covered, for the purpose of making a murder, or committing a murder. So, who would have prepared that journey for the purpose of making a murder? Cum here, not a cum clause. It's actually just the word for with. Rode with his wife. Okay, rode with his wife in a carriage. Painulatus is a weird word. We'll never see it again. They tell you, it says wearing the painula, which is a typical traveling cloak. Like I don't know if you guys look at this, but like in Lord of the Rings, like all the hobbits have just like a green kind of felt cloak that they wear with like a hood. I apologize if you didn't get that, but it's not anything you would wear if you knew you were going to get into a fight. So, rode with his wife in a carriage, you could just say wearing a cloak, and then all of this is ablative and it all goes together, with a great, or we'll do large, with a large and loaded down, and womanly and dainty Comitatu, with a womanly and dainty company of slave girls and boys. All right, and Keela is like a slave girl, an attendant, and boys. So Milo, this robber, all right, he's not traveling like a robber. Okay, keep in mind, Sister is being sarcastic, and he's got his wife with him. Uh, he's in a carriage. He's not lightly armed, as according to Cicero, Clodius was, and he's got a whole bunch of people with him that you would never want in a fight. Um, like whatever that means, womanly and dainty slave girls and boys. All right, so quite a different account from Asconius, and I'll ask you guys some questions to see if you can remember the difference in these two accounts. All right, so in summary, Clodius, he was traveling suspiciously. Milo is traveling just like a guy who is of his status and wealth would be traveling on the road. So, i.e., he's not looking to murder anyone, while Clodius may have been. All right. I hope you enjoyed that, and miss you guys.